Somebody's playing my piano right now.
Dad, I asked him.
I have got to go see.
Dad, don't do this. Don't do this. Dad, don't do this to him. Don't do this. Don't do this. Dan, I'm so sorry.
Lance, you wouldn't like me to
This is so... I'm enjoying it.
Well, turn off your phone. That's mean.
I'm not even going to look. I'm just going to catch the music.
Alright, next time, don't.
Somebody is playing my piano.
Dad, I wanted him to make sure.
I don't
Dad,
know.
it sounded weird.
I want to play like that. That was fantastic. That was fantastic. I want to play the piano like that. Did you like that, Annabelle?
Oh, I love
So, Annabelle, what are we up to here?
stuffing. This is called cornbread sausage stuffing with apples. And I multiply it times 6. It's a thing. Everybody loves it, and everybody wants some stashed away with their name on it.
Oh,
So it's one of those.
one of those things that you sometimes give away that I get upset about because I want to eat it.
Silver palette cookbook. I just
Smells
customize
great.
it. So I put in more kinds of apples, and more kinds of bread, and make my own cornbread and sausage and yum. It takes a long time to make it. We're almost finished, but we'll have to bring out all day. Not all day. Not
Well,
start today. But it is late at night. What time is it? Oh my gosh, 11:30.
well, live at my house, you can see what a battle I have to put up with so that I can give you guys the quality live programming that our program is based on. And by the way, we want to keep lifting up Israel in prayer. There's my map of Israel. Let's lift it up. Anyway, I just want to talk about this, the pardoning that the president said. Hey, this guy's president is constantly under attack, and I'm just fed up. Frankly, I'm fed up. Fed up with the liberals. I'm fed up with the Democrats. And you say, Lance is a Christian. Is that appropriate? Absolutely. We should be angry, but sin not. I'm not quite sure where the sin line is, but I could sure be angry biblically and not sin. All right, we're getting some lighting on the program here. What if I sneak into the room and listen to that great piano player again? That guy's good. I'm telling you. Did you hear him? I wish he had started it earlier. Dun 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 dun. And but the important point, and this is the part that I wanted to talk to you about. The president gave a pardon. You guys follow this at all? I know it's kind of like there's so many. He gets attacked in everything he does. But I just want to point something out. And I want to get it out of my system right now. I'm going to flip around here. I got this from Phyllis Schlafly. That's a great old lady there. Used to be part of the conservative movement. Anyway, I'm reading this article here. Respect needed for Trump's pardons. Now, this is what I'm talking about. All right? I'm reading this thing. And, of course, what bothers me about this is anybody who does, the left and the Democrats, everything Trump does, are going to fight it. What kind of stupid, idiotic thinking is this? And why do we allow it? Why do the Democrats allow it? Why do Christians that vote Democrat allow this? I listened to the CEO of Pepsi, great lady, and she was asked, would you ever consider going to politics? She goes, why? She said, Pepsi would be bankrupt if half the board tried to sabotage everything I did. She said, that's what you've got in government. You've got half the government trying to destroy the other half. Not Republicans. Republicans are too sedentary, civilized, and well, they have their problems, but it's not the problems the left has. The left you got to take out, because the right you can pressure into maturity and accountability, but the left is just flat out deviant. The Constitution expressly grants the authority to the president to issue pardons, and so there's this one guy who was a fighter, a warrior, a Navy SEAL, Special Chief Eddie Gallagher, who was in court, and Trump looked at the case and he looked at him and he said, "Look, this guy's fighting. This guy's a fighter. This guy's a decorated SEAL." And Trump says, "I want him to be vindicated, so that the soldier isn't going to be punished." The Secretary of the Navy, Richard Spencer, who I like to see who appointed him. He sounds like an Obama or Bush appointee. He's a Wall Street banker. Never had combat experience. How does he become Secretary of the Navy? I don't know. You have to ask Franklin Roosevelt. Wasn't he one time that? Spencer resisted the order. Trump gives him an order. And in the military, this knucklehead, commander-in-chief, gives the order, President Trump gives the order, and the knucklehead refuses. Who's the knucklehead? The Secretary of the Navy, Richard Spencer, refuses to obey it. And then he goes on when asked on CBS to explain what's wrong with following a lawful order, he says nothing, kind of smugly. But he couldn't do it in all good conscience. I love it how these guys that are all deep staters that hate Trump all have this good conscience, and none of them have a conviction of sin when it comes to being insubordinate or disloyal or betraying their commander-in-chief. Spencer and other Trump critics need to take a close look at Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1 of the Constitution. I should actually put my glasses on. I should like Mark Levin. You ever see Mark Levin? Whenever he goes legal on us. Whenever Mark Levin, when he gets upset what these morons are doing, and he takes off his glasses, when he does that, he's going legal. And here's what Mark Levin would say. I'm going to give it to you now. These guys obviously never read Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1 of the Constitution. They wouldn't recognize it if they tripped over it in daylight. The president shall have power to grant reprieves and pardons, listen to this, for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. You see, President Trump's first pardon as president was issued to Joe Arpaio. Remember him? He's the Arizona sheriff that the Democrats have been trying to put in jail. Like poor old Roger Stone. What the heck? They got CNN notified. They got Navy SEALs dropping down like some kind of Jason Bourne operation from Treadstone to take out a 67-year-old guy in a T-shirt with his wife who's deaf. This is inexcusable. We got to get Roger out of that situation. There should be more of an outrage. Anyway, it's mystifying to me that so many liberals could be so resistant to presidential pardons. They should love pardons. That's what they're all about. They're all about lawlessness, getting people out of jail, getting everyone who's in prison out of prison. So I don't know. They should be cheering on the president. But Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, they were pardon crazy. And by the way, Clinton on his last day pardoned everybody that ever donated money to him that was in trouble with the law, it seems. Trump, on the other hand, is only, as far as I know, has only pardoned 2 Army officers. Anyway, I'll tell you what. I just wanted to give you, because I had to look the story up because, it was in the news, it's in the background, and I was trying to, I'm busy, I can't. I wanted to get it for you. I wanted to get you what the deal was. Anyway, didn't Trump fire that Secretary of the Navy? Didn't he fire that Spencer? Somebody give me a note here. Didn't he fire Spencer? And good riddance, Lucille. You're out of here. Get rid of the guy. Not listening to the president. Remember what happened when the president had, this is what he did when he came into office. He thought he was going to do a gesture of goodwill. So he kept over a bunch of Obama people and right away, from day one, what is he dealing with? He's dealing with the resistance showing up and people disobeying his orders. Lois Lerner, I believe, just flat out disobeying his orders, and they started right away. Anyway, I just want to encourage you on this Thanksgiving that you need to know that Schiff with the impeachment situation is going to be very interesting to see what he has to do, because the likelihood is that they know the data. That's why I kept joking about Adam Schiff's going to be a shapeshifter. He's going to be a shapeshifter for sure. A surefire shapeshifter, that Adam Schiff, because the data is coming in, the polls are coming in, and they really bombed out. I mean, they just did a terrible job of prosecuting the president. It was really boring. I mean, and then the witnesses they had didn't give any bombshells. Well, I overheard a conversation on the phone. Somebody had the phone during lunch, and I listened to what seemed to me to be what the other person was saying. Well, I overheard, so I heard something from somebody who heard something from somebody. I mean, this was their witnesses, and it just kind of fell apart. And I recommended. I said they should have had a little bit of entertainment value. Maybe open up with a Tonight Show band. Hey, it's Adam Schiff tonight, and special guest star, whistleblower attorney. So. Anyway, they should have done something with a little bit of thinking about the American public. I mean, if you're going to put on the show, let's get the show going. I think, for instance, Mitch McConnell should pop in and do a couple of one-liners like Laugh In. Remember that Laugh In? Mitch McConnell should go over there, hey, do a couple of one-liners, oh, everybody laugh, and then another hook come pulling out. See, to me, the ratings would have been off. Donald Trump understands what I'm talking about. The president knows to get the ratings. I would have had a little WrestleMania in there. And over in this corner, Lindsey Graham's coming out, and he's going to, he takes down with a clothes hanger, takes Adam Schiff's down. And then Pelosi comes out. She bounces off the rope. It wouldn't be her. It'd be a stunt double. Obviously a stunt double. Ocasio-Cortez, she takes her glasses off, does that scene like in Godfather 3 where she puts it in the jugular. Well, maybe not. But maybe they'd have, like, pay-per-view if you want to see them really go at it there in Washington. I mean, then the ratings are working. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to go into the other news tonight. I just did want to cover the pardon, and tomorrow I'm going to talk a bit about Thanksgiving and the real story of Thanksgiving and why it is that we have to know that the left is, the academics are screwing everything up. I mean, they're educating our kids that what Thanksgiving was actually what are they calling it? It was like the massacre of the indigenous peoples. What the heck? They are so sick. But we got 55 million of you traveling for Thanksgiving, and I pray God's blessing and protection upon you as you travel. I pray God's blessing on your family. You see what we're doing here. And, people are, and people are, we're praying. Just keep praying for America. Keep praying for the president. I don't think God's finished with America yet. China's accusing us of sinister intentions after Trump signed a bill supporting the Hong Kong protesters because China would love to just gobble up Hong Kong. And, the president, he did put out this picture this week for Christmas. And it's him. Melania took it of him at home. And I thought that was, it's kind of an intimate look at how, who he really is underneath all the make-believe stuff. But the impeachment is going to be one of the I think it'd be the biggest mistakes that Democrats could possibly make. So I think the Senate, I don't think the White House really wants it. I don't think they want to have to deal with it. I'm getting calls from people, to be honest with you, saying we need to really put the pressure on to stop this impeachment thing. But I think that, it could be the Senate could actually be, it could be kind of fun, finally. I think the American people are, I think the data shows us that the libertarians and the African Americans are surprisingly not on board with yanking Trump out. I mean, they could see that this isn't cooked up right, and they see it as a political and media event, which is bad for the politicians and the media. I'm happy to. Let's see. Iran, Russia, China to hold joint war games, sending a message to the world. Well, that's interesting. If Iran, Russia, and China are holding war games in order to send a message to the world, well, it doesn't take a whole lot of intelligence there to realize, why don't they just, have their war games, and then the winner can celebrate in North Korea with the dictator. I mean, so you got the three goat nations, actually, that are part of the end-time trifecta. That's why the United States can't go down yet. Those other countries are poised to move in. But it's going to be very interesting because we have on the 11th, I think we have the first of the reports coming out. This is the Horowitz report coming out. And I can't wait till the Durham report comes out. Oh boy, is that going to be good? That's going to have criminal authority. And I'll tell you what, the president is protecting future presidents, because what's happening in the United States, I'm going to make my final point, is that impeachment has been taken as a tool for the protection of the republic, put there by the founders in the event of high crimes and misdemeanors, like, a real betrayal of the public office. And it's being used as a weapon in the hands of people that hate the other party's candidate. And what the Democrats have done is sunk to such a stinking low level that part of the frustration for many of us is going to be retaining our sanity, our peace of mind, our objectivity, and the most powerful thing we have, which is a sense of humor. Because when you start seeing the devil manifest like this, and you're looking at the destruction of everything dear and near to you by people that are just kind of like zombified, it seems, then you cannot allow yourself to get sucked into the vortex of their insanity. We have to pray for people, and we have to be speaking the truth, because you'd be surprised how many Christians are weak. When I got people telling me, Lance, could you explain your support for Donald Trump? Lance, could you explain there are Christians that don't understand your support? Who the heck doesn't understand? What do we got to do? I got to put arsenic and maple, maple syrup side by side and say, arsenic not good, maple syrup great on your waffles. This is what we got right now. So at this point, if we have to explain something that's obvious, you have to question what is the other part of the church listening to? I mean, having eyes, don't they see? Having ears, don't they hear? No, the guy obviously isn't, Joel Osteen. We didn't hire him to be Joel Osteen. If he was Joel Osteen, if we had old Joel Osteen in America, if we had Joel Osteen, I love Joel Osteen. I'm not knocking Joel Osteen. But all these pacifist Christians, if you were in charge of Washington during the Second World War, we'd all be speaking with a German accent right now. There are times when you have to defend what God has given you. You have to resist the devil, not cooperate with him. You're not trying to win a popularity contest with a serial killer. You're trying to protect the rest of the community from the serial killer. I don't think Christians really understand how justice and how law and how responsibility really works. In the civil government, their job is to protect us. They're not the church. They're civil government, and they don't bear the sword in vain. But if they use the sword inappropriately, if they use the weapons of law and courts and impeachment in order to impose an agenda upon the law-abiding people and to subvert the laws and pervert the laws to serve their own evil agenda, folks, you better wake up. 30% of the United States is Christian enough to shape the direction of the country. The LGBTQ community, in terms of its core constituency, is like 4%. And that's being generous at 4%. But they're evangelizing all the time. So you've got armies of young people getting converted into their movement because it looks like it's so cool. And that's the only, thing out there. But the fact of the matter is it's a minority of people compared to the 30% of the people that believe the Bible. But the 30% that believe the Bible are not led by people that engage them. You're not led by leaders that are engaging you and your energy. Not in the civic sphere. They'll teach you how to go to heaven when you die, teach you how to maximize your potential and maybe live and fulfill your prophetic destiny, so long as you have a capitalist economy and laws in Western civilization that allow you religious liberty. However, if this system goes down, we're going to start seeing a whole change in the way we go about fulfilling our prophetic destiny, because we're going to be in apocalypse land. But on a more cheery note, I don't believe it's happening right now. I think Donald Trump is experiencing a surge. I'm seeing the grace of God. Now, I didn't say this before, but I see a chance right now. We can hold on to this window of opportunity and begin to pursue the reformation we have neglected. This is not up to Donald Trump to change America. Forget that. What he's doing is he's a wrecking ball to advance as much as he can as a man who loves America, as an executive can make those decisions. But we're going to have to tilt public opinion. And to do that, we're probably going to have to do it not as Christians. People don't like Christians. I don't know if you've noticed it lately. But the best way to go in is to, like if you're on a plane and you want to really evangelize, you could start off saying, hi, I'm an evangelist. That might not be the best way to start the evangelism. But you could say something else. You could say you're an author, a researcher, a writer, speaker, an educator, a coach, and moving from that angle. Now, I'm not saying deny the faith. I'm saying find a starting point where at least you don't shoot yourself in the leg before you even start. In other words, we need to have people speaking the language of culture. We need you that are academics to talk academics. Don't do Bible thumping. Talk like Jordan Peterson. Hit them with the arguments of the Spirit that are crafted by the Spirit with the wisdom of the Spirit. Does that make sense to you? Well, if you're going to be an artist, I love what Kanye is doing. Kanye is doing it right. But Kanye is an artist first, and then a Jesus fanatic second, because he establishes credibility. His street credibility is because he's a great artist. Then he has a #1 album. It always helps to be #1 in something. So we just need to learn how to, on the day of Pentecost, they spoke the language of the people. That's the secret. Every man heard them speak in their native tongue. We need to be filled with the Holy Ghost, speaking the language that people speak. Not saying back up from your faith, but, win them in a neutral position over, start to chip away at the thinking they've got, and give a reason for the hope that's in you. Give a reason, a logismos, a logical explanation for what you believe. And I believe that we're going to win the battle of public persuasion once we get serious about what battle we have to win. It's not going to be looking for the revival or the awakening here or there. It's going to be the solution. It's still going to come down to breaking down the truth in such a way that we can win the hearts and minds of people who are caught in lies. We have to meet them where they're at. And trying to get them to get converted isn't the answer. I know some of you are going to disagree with me on that, but I think we oversimplify the problem sometimes. Because, listen, there are plenty of people that are converted I'm talking about who don't understand Donald Trump. Christians who don't get it. So evidently, we have to make a better argument for the ideas that make for the right life, the righteousness of God, the knowledge of God, broken down into what kind of economic system would that look like? What kind of justice would that look like? What kind of opportunity would that look like? What kind of culture would that look like? So I tell you, the United States, well, I pray it can be transformed. We may be just buying time for the rest of the world, but the other nations are opening up right now. Nations that haven't gone as far as us. Brazil, for instance. There's opportunity there. I'm going to hang up my phone now, but take a look at how big this place is. Brazil and South America. And we're still finding Guatemala is just had a conservative victory for many Christians. They're delighted with the results of seeing, and we're seeing open doors into these places in Central America. In Central America, we're seeing singular victories in the Spirit. God's moving in this area here. God is holding America back from the craziness that's primarily up in New York, Northwest, and the cities in California. It's mostly where the craziness comes from. And big world. God's at work. And I pray that you're going to have a blessed day tomorrow. And we'll take a look at the real story of Thanksgiving when we get a chance to get together. God bless. Share this with somebody. Bye-bye. I was at a conference recently, and we were discussing the end game, what God is doing in terms of this next chapter of American history and perhaps a global shift that is going to be happening, all in alignment with what the Bible teaches about tares and wheat coming to maturity and nations coming into sheep and goat status. And I started realizing, with the crazy stuff happening in California and New York and Seattle and Portland, there are sheep and goat regions. There are sheep and goat cities. There are sheep and goat states. And the ultimate battle for a nation is the influence of those competing spheres of persuasion. Who is going to be able to grab the mechanism of thrones and gates of influence in media, politics, the courts? And this is what it is. It's a mad rush right now to power happening all over the place. And if you're not careful, you could just kind of go, well, the Lord's coming back. You don't want to dumb down right now. You want to sharpen up, because God wants you to have a nation that will glorify God. So you've got to get in the game. This series that we just did on Endgame is the secret sauce. LanceWalnut.com/endgame. Get the 2 CDs. It was at a prophetic event I was doing with Jeremiah Johnson. The atmosphere was so catalytic and clarifying. We began to see that cities and regions make up the nations, and that there's a battle. And for all I know, you could be in a decisive battleground territory, and you think, well, I'm just little old me. My state's not that important. And yet, lo and behold, it was 5 insignificant states with a remnant of people that showed up that actually turned the Electoral College in 2016. I'm talking like 10,000 people in Wisconsin, 20,000 people in Michigan. 80% of them were believers. Bam! History is literally turning on the hinges of a remnant. Get the Endgame. It explains it. LanceWalnut.com/endgame.